Hello. Today we're going to go and make a simple address book. Now right here I've kind of got a basic HTML page with a table and a little PHP statement here. Now how we're going to make this address book is with PHP and MySQL. And this code is going to be explained a little bit more a little bit later. So what we're going to do is above your HTML you're going to want to open up and close your PHP section. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have to connect to a database. Now to connect to the database, I have a includes directory that has a dbconnect.php file. All that does is that file specifies the host of the database, the username and password. That's all that is in this file. I would show it to you, but it has the credentials of my database, and for time's sake. The next thing we want to do here is I like to store my database name into a variable. So my database name is address. Now if your database name was Bob, you would put Bob inside those quotes. The next variable we're going to create, you got it, would be the table name, and that is labeled contacts. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create another variable called db, and this variable is going to hold the select statement that is going to select that table. Or the database name, excuse me, not the table. Getting a little ahead of myself. Now this MySQL underscore select underscore DB, that is a built-in function to MySQL. So that's not something I named somewhere else, or defined somewhere else, excuse me. Now this MySQL error, what that does is if it goes to do the statement and it fails, it'll actually give you a nicer error message. It'll say, like, for example, here, if I did this and I would run this, it would say address 1 doesn't exist. If I didn't have that MySQL error in there, it would just say, it would get a white screen, or another problem would arise from that. So the next variable we're going to create is your SQL statements, or your select statement, excuse me. Now inside the select state, we're going to do select. Now some people do this, and what that does is that will select every field in your database. This is something in a small program is not a concern. In a bigger program, it can be a concern because you'll just be wasting resources. You don't want to do that. So now what we're going to do is we're in the quotes there, and we're going to put a ... Inside this ... we are going to have $ table name. Actually, before we do that, don't want to forget the from. Basically what this is doing is it's taking this, it's adding a space, and then it is bringing the table name space. And what we're going to want to do, because this is going to be an address book, let's organize the data alphabetically by L name, which stands for last name. F name is for first name, and email is for email address. Of course, there could be more values in here, but again, this is very basic. So now we're going to create a variable called results, which basically is going to hold the query or the data. So when it goes through this, it's going to store all the values into the results variable. See here, make sure I got that right. Actually, wait, I am sorry. Got a little ahead of myself there. Again, I apologize about that. So basically what the results is going to do is it's going to run that SQL statement, or it's going to die. Now what we're going to do is we are going to do a while statement. What this while statement is going to do is this is what's going to actually run through the database and or through the fields and collect the actual data. So now, what I like to do is each hole we are going to create a variable that will hold the following. Okay, so we created 3 variables, LName, FName, and email, that is going to hold the variable. So it's going to go through my first one, and it's going to pull all those values and put it in all 3 of those variables. Now to save a little time here, I copied the code here. Let me go ahead and explain this code here. What this is doing is when it grabs all these values, it's going to throw those values into the display variable, which again, if you come down here, you see the echo display. That's now you're kind of seeing where that's coming from. So it's going to go through, grab the first fields of data, and it's going to spit this out. It's basically going to create a table row, data, blah blah blah. I mean, these are all basic table command if you're looking at it. So it's going to do that, and it's going to print that down here. It's going to go, is there any more? Yes, there is. Now, you might be looking here in this display, you might be noticing that there's that little dot there. What that dot actually is it's saying add to the value. If I were to take that out like that, it would go and put it all in, but then when it would go to do it again, it would overwrite the original data. So we need to add that dot in there. So that should be it for this. We go to File, Save, and then let me just do a little zoom out here, and let's go to here. I tell Dreamweaver, go ahead. You can upload that. And on the window, if we type localhost, make sure we can see that data there. So there you go. Now, of course, I could take CSS and I could edit these, add borders and all that. But again, I didn't want to get into this in this tutorial. But you would style it just like any other thing. So look for some future tutorials. I might continue with this tutorial and actually style it and maybe add a little bit more and make it a little bit more robust. But if you like my videos, please subscribe. If not, that's okay. Have a good day.